Okay, let's go ahead and look at our 5.1 notes. This is brand new information here that we have not gone over yet. So it should be a little easy breezy. You might be familiar with some of it. You might not be, but we're trying to keep it pretty simple today. So go ahead and put your name and date, or your name and class period on each paper here. Trying to get myself, there we are. And of course, I put video on mine because this is my video copy. Okay. So, first things first, we are going to talk about the coordinate plane. Just for those who are new, this is a coordinate plane. It's also called a graph. We're going to talk about all the key pieces and everything here. So, first off, we have our x-axis, which is basically a horizontal number line. If you remember graphing our inequalities just on the number line, that's what this is. If you look down here, this is just a horizontal number line. So it'll have numbers 0, 1, 2, -1, and it keeps going in both directions forever and ever. The x-axis is the same thing, except it's vertical. It's a vertical number line. So it'll start with 0, and it goes up, and it goes down. So I'm just going to put a 0 there because I don't have much room to put my other numbers, but they are there. It keeps going forever and ever. So a graph is basically two number lines put together. Okay, a point. We are always going to write our points with parentheses, a number, which is our x value, a comma, a number, which is our y value, and then parentheses. So, for example, you might have 0.21. That's how we say that. We say it's 2, 1. You might have -3, 0. Or you might have 0.5, -2. Any combination of positive and negative numbers in there can work. And they kind of give us ideas about locations on our graph. And we'll talk a little bit more about those. As a quick reminder, though, sometimes people struggle with how to say these. When we're talking about a point, we say 2, 1. It's not 2 and 1. It's not 2.1, because that is a comma. It's not 2 over 1. It's 2, 1. And these parentheses are really important too. Okay? Last but not least, the origin. The origin is where everything starts. Origin is where it all begins, and it is a very important point on our graph, and it is at 0, 0. Easy to remember because origin starts with an O, and that looks like OO. So let's go ahead and graph these key features that we found. So we know, and we'll use the same color. We know that, let's start with our x-axis. We know our x-axis runs horizontal. X-axis. That is the messiest way I've ever written x-axis in my life. We know that our y-axis runs up and down. And sometimes people get a little confused about which is which. Is this the x-axis or is this the x-axis? Something that we try to remember that can help you is y to the sky. So this one looks like it's pointing straight up to the sky. So y-axis is the one that goes to the sky. And then x-axis is this one. Okay. Last but not least, next up, actually, let's do the origin point first. So we know that these are number lines, right? And where they cross is our zeros. They cross at their zeros. So this is our origin. And I'm just going to mark it as 0, 0. Okay. So now let's look at these points a little bit and kind of practice graphing some points. We know when we're looking at a point, we'll look back up here, that the first value is going to be our x value. And here we're using blue for our x's, so I'll use x. So my x value here is 2, my x value here is -3, and my x value here is 5. And then we know that the second point is our y value. So we know our y value here is 1, our y value here is 0, and our y value here is -2. Again, sometimes people get a little confused about, hey, is it my x value first? Is it xy? Is it yx? What is it? I always try to remember it's alphabetical order. So x, y, z. So it's x, y, just like I'm saying the alphabet. My x value is the first number. My y value is the second number. So let's practice graphing some of these. We have 2, 1. So our first value is our 2, and we're going to find on here, starting at 0, 1, 2. So this is our 2. And actually, we can go ahead and number all of these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one is going to be -1. I threw a switch up there on you guys, sorry. -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. Okay. Oh my goodness, guys, I skipped one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that should be -9. This is not the best video I've ever made. My apologies. And that's because I skipped 3 right there. Okay. Let's look going up. Let's see if we can do it better this time, Miss McNabb. We know that this is 0, 0, and then going up, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we know that going down, we've got -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and -9. Okay. You need to get yours filled in before we start plotting points. You can go ahead and pause so you can do that. Okay, so now let's find point 2, 1. So we know that our x value is going to be 2. So we go to our origin, we go over 1, 2, because x value goes left to right, side to side, horizontal. And then we know our y value is our up and down value, and it's a +1, so it goes up 1. So that is point 2, -1. Let's see if we can find our next point, which is -3, 0. Okay, so we start with our x value. We find our -3. Oh, negatives are on this side. So -3. And then it tells us how many to go up or down. How many do I go up or down? None. 0. So it's actually right there. So -3, 0. And last but not least, let's find this point. We have 5, -2. So we find 5 on our x-axis, which is right here, 5. And it tells us how many need to go up or down. It's down because it's negative. So 1, 2. Okay, and we see that that lines up with 5, -2. Okay. Go ahead and pause there if you need to get caught up. Okay. And again, guys, I'm sorry, there's some crazy lines on here. So let's go ahead and write the points that we have here. First off, let's mark what we do know. We know where our x-axis is, right? And we used blue for x-axis, correct? Yes, we did. So we know this is our x-axis. We know this is our y. Okay, and I actually know this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 0. So then this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and -9. Okay. And if you want to label your, let's come up with this better here. If you want to label your x-axis, then we know that this is 0. So that's 1, 2, 3. We're going to get it right this time. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We know that this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and -9. Okay. So let's write the points that we see. So let's look at point A. Let's see. Point A is at, our x value is going to be 4. Remember that our points are going to be x, comma, y. So our x value, where it crosses this x value, it lines up with the x-axis, is 4. Now let's see where it lines up with the y-axis, is 2. 4, 2. Okay. Next up, let's see if we can find our b. Oh, b is kind of, b, our x-axis is -5, but then our y-axis is 0, right? Because it's at our -5 on our x-axis, but then if we go over to our y-axis, we're at 0. Okay. C is right here. Oops. C is going to be, it crosses at our 2 for our x-axis, and it crosses at -4 for our y-axis. D crosses actually at 0. So if we go from D and we find where it crosses on our x-axis, it's at 0. It lines up with 0. So 0 on our x-axis, and then on our y-axis, it crosses at 6. E crosses at, let's see, we need to find where it crosses our x-axis. So E crosses at -4 and -2 is where it hits our y-axis. And last but not least, we have F, which hits our x-axis. It crosses at -2. And our y-axis, it crosses at 3. Okay. And then you guys are going to do this part on your own. But before you do it, I'm going to show you a trick in Desmos so that we can double check what we have up here where we wrote the points. Well, let me show you something magic here. I can make it small. You guys, what does Miss McNabb love? She loves Desmos, correct? Did you know that you can plot points in Desmos? Yes, you can. Desmos makes everything better. Okay, so let's say that we wanted to check that we got A in the right spot. We could say, okay, A is right here, and I looked and figured out, I think it's 4, 2. Let's see if I got it right. 4, 2. This is why it's important to think about how we write our points. These parentheses are important. Putting our numbers in the right order is important, and our comma, not a period, is important. So if you look right here, they say that it should be right there. My numbers aren't quite how I want them. Okay, we can go ahead and go in a little bit more. Perfect. So now I know that it should be kind of lined up with 4 and 2. And should kind of be in this top right area. And there we go. I got it right. 4 and 2. You can check the rest of yours this way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and label this one A. Okay. So next up, let's see. And actually, if you want to make yours a little easier to see, you can always go in and tell it that you want it to give you 1 steps on here. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but there it worked. Okay, so now let's see if we can find B. We have open parentheses, -5, comma, 0. Let's see if we got it in the right place. Oh, she didn't type any of it. -5, comma, 0, close parentheses. Let's see if we got it. They didn't give it to us. Let's see. It should be at -5, 0. Well, that's interesting. Miss McNow was looking in the wrong spot. I was looking over here, but I was wrong because it's actually over here. And is that where point B was? It sure is. See, double checking yourself can be super helpful. And we're going to check one more so we can see that it kind of lines up with where we thought it was supposed to be. Okay, let's check C. 2, comma, -4. Okay, and we're going to label it C. Okay, and there we go. Let's see if it's kind of roughly in the right spot that we're looking for. We're looking for it to be a little bit over, but in the bottom right-hand side, we got it a little bit over, matches up with -4, and it's in the bottom right. We got it correct. Okay, if you wanted to check the rest of those, you definitely could, and go ahead and use that to check when you're working on the second page on your own. Okay, beyond that, that is it for today. I hope you guys have a great day.